Good morning. Welcome to Bay Area Unitarian Universalist Church. It is good to be together today. My name is Nina Kuzniak, and I am a Unitarian Universalist seminarian working toward parish ministry. I serve as the Ministerial Intern at First UU, and I have the good fortune to occasionally preach at other local UU communities. Thank you so much for welcoming me on this New Year Sunday. I hope that you are arriving today from a place of nourishment and groundedness. I hope that in the season of expectation and pressure, that you have taken good care and attended to the needs of your body and your spirit. And I hope, as always, that you feel loved. And, as always, we carry with us the pressures of the world even into these spaces of sacredness, the pull to attend to the micro and the macro demands of our attention and our time and our heart. I welcome you now with some brief words by the author John Rodell, who said, "Living in wonder is the rent that I owe God. I'm afraid if I stop looking at the stars or counting the spots on ladybugs, that the locks might change." You are invited now into a time of sacredness, of stillness, of love, and of wonder. Come, friends, let us worship.
Good morning and Happy New Year. My name's Terry Grimm, and I'll be your worship associate this morning, and my pronouns are she, her. Rebecca Troop is back, and she will light our chalice this morning. We light our chalice with some words from the Peace of Wild Things by Wendell Berry. When despair for the world grows in me, I wake in the night at the least sound in fear of what my life and what my children's lives may be. I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world and am free. Please stand as you are willing and able for our opening hymn, 1055, "The How Sweet the Darkness." Quite haven't mastered that hymn yet. A new year invites us to consider, what do we want to carry forward? What matters most? Our covenant names those essential things, the promises we make to ourselves and one another. Let us speak these words together not as something old, but as something we choose anew today. First in English and then in Spanish. Please join me in saying our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity and fellowship. Thus do we covenant with one another. And Gus Dunn will help me with the Spanish.
Buenos días. El amor es la doctrina de esta iglesia. La búsqueda de la verdad es su sacramento y el servicio es su oración. Vivir en paz, en comunidad, buscar el conocimiento en libertad, servir a la humanidad en fraternidad. Así es como pactamos entre nosotros. Thank you.
Our responsive reading this morning is number 503 in the Gray Hymnal by Rami Shapiro. Bless Adonai, who spins day into dusk. With understanding, let time and seasons come and go. Morning dawns, evening darkens. Yet each distinguished and unique. Seek wisdom and truth, the gateways to life's mysteries. The Reverend Forest Church is quoted as saying, "We are not human because we think. We are human because we care. All true meaning is shared meaning." When we come together into spaces of sacredness and connection, we experience bits of divinity in bodies that are buzzing with the joys and sorrows of being human. Our candlelighting ritual invites you to mark your joys and sorrows alongside others who do the same. Your grief and love, your joy and pain, they're welcome here. Before you join us, I will ask Terry to support with lighting 2 candles. The first candle we light as a reminder that we gather in times of war. We hold the people of Venezuela and all those who suffer under colonial imperialism, and remember always that their fight is our fight, and that no one is free until we are all free. The second candle we light to remember the abiding reality of love and our shared work to restore the human community and earth to wholeness and to harmony. This flame of love and peace burns as brightly, as strongly, and as warmly as the other. May we be fortified together to do the work that is larger than any one of us. If you'd like a candle brought to your seat for lighting, please raise your hand, and otherwise, all are invited to join us in this ritual. And finally, we light 2 more candles, one for anything not represented up here yet, but which is heavy or light on our hearts, and one for the folks at home that are joining us virtually. Okay, friends, as we enter this time of meditation and contemplation, I invite you to feel your body fully settle into this space. Move anything that needs moving, settle anything that needs settling. Scan your physical self for any signs of tension, or I have a friend who calls it feeling kind of crunchy. Maybe it's like your jaw, or your brow, or your shoulders, your hands, your feet. Extend grace and peace and patience to your being. Feel your body resting in the chair and imagine the earth holding you. To the degree that you can, release now and let go. Bring your attention to your breath. Let it move naturally in and out, and extend gratitude to the natural rise and fall of your body. I invite you now into a bit of breathing with me. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Breathing in, I offer peace. Breathing out, I offer peace. Breathing in, I offer harmony. Breathing out, I offer harmony. Breathing in, I offer patience. Breathing out, I offer patience. Breathing in, I offer gratitude. Breathing out, I offer gratitude. Breathing in, I offer love. Breathing out, I offer love. In the busyness of our days, our breath is always there for us to return to. It reminds us that we are a part of the larger heartbeat of the world. When we breathe together, we are able to more easily remember our obligations to each other and to the world. Now, from this place of meditation and groundedness, I offer a reading titled Caracas, January 3rd. There is something simple which power forgets, and clouds of smoke and the roar of rotor blades cannot conceal. There are people there. Wherever there is, on the front lines of every empire's effort to manifest domination, just people, running on the sidewalk, panicked at the borders, cans of food and children's toys rattling even now in the trunk of a car that for today still starts. People there in doorways and on freeways praying for a place beyond the bombs without ever knowing the plans of the men with pens that write orders and the suits worth more than this month's rent, and declarations that burst forth in fire when the children should be sleeping. Just people there. On this day, we pray strength unto them all, upon us all, to meet this time with courage and grief and remembering and reminding that in this place where they are, among them is all of us. So, Spirit of life, help us remember that love existed long before imperialism. Help us remember that the engines of empire are run on non-renewable resources, unlike our care for each other, which is both limitless and our birthright. Help us remember the interconnected web of all life, everywhere, always striving for peace and freedom. Amen.
Our meditation hymn is number 123, Spirit of Life, and you may remain seated.
Good morning. My name is Gloria Miller, and I am the Director of Religious Education here at Bay Area Unitarian Universalist Church. Our tale for all ages today is entitled God's Holy Darkness by Cherie Green and Becca Selnick. Darkness and blackness and night are too often compared to lightness and whiteness and day and found deficient. But let us name the beauty and goodness and holiness of darkness and blackness and night. God uses darkness and blackness and night to show love for the world. Creation began in the dark. In the beginning, darkness covered the face of the deep. And God poured out love and brought all things into being. Creation is God's work done in holy darkness. When Abraham began to doubt God's promise, the Lord took him on a walk and pointed to the night sky. Look toward the heaven and count the stars, if you are able to count them. So shall your descendants be. Later, Jacob wrestled all night with God and was changed forever. The beginning of the many nations and peoples of the Lord is the work of God's beautiful darkness. At midnight, the Lord passed over Egypt and set the people free. Samuel heard a small voice calling to him in the dark and became a mighty prophet. When the temple was complete, King Solomon said, "The Lord has said he would dwell in thick darkness." The Spirit of God dwells in the holy darkness where we are invited to be held in his love. Angels appeared to the shepherds in the dark and told them of a baby in a manger. The disciples gathered with Jesus for the Holy Supper as the day turned to night. And when Jesus died on the cross, the day went black from noon to 3. Creation began in holy darkness, and our new lives as free people began in the darkness of the sky. God saved all creation, and it was the work of his beautiful, good, and holy darkness. Rich black soil brings forth abundant life. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains just a single grain. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. The deep, dark ocean holds more life than has even been discovered. We are reminded of the size of God's creation through the boundless, beautiful black of outer space. And from the beginning of creation to the stars in the night sky, we are shown God's love. In houses of worship with dark spaces for wonder, we are held in his love. In the dark soil and the deep sea, we are reminded of God's love. From the promise of peace made to the shepherds at night, to the promise made on the cross, these are beautiful works of God's holy darkness. I'd like to read the author's afterword, which is actually entitled A Note for Caregivers. In our world and in our lives, blackness should be celebrated. Darkness should foster wonder and awe, and we should find comfort and rest in the night. But instead, we usher in the light-dark binaries. John, Book 1, verse 5, "The light shall shine in the darkness, and the darkness shall not overcome it." This passage speaks of literal lightness and darkness, but we have ascribed qualities of good versus bad to light and darkness, with light being good and dark being bad. With the construct of race, these attributes were given to people with light-colored skin, white, and people with dark-colored skin. But we are called, and we have always been called, to disrupt this binary thinking and ultimately disrupt and dismantle the systems that value lightness over darkness, whiteness over blackness. God's holy darkness features beloved Bible stories. Sometimes we know stories so well that we forget to listen to them. And this book challenges us to hear those stories in a new way, to hear the stories of the beauty and holiness and goodness of blackness and darkness and night. What other ways can we challenge our perceptions of race and church and theology? When you imagine God or other biblical figures, what do they look like? What images are hung? Look and listen for what is missing and seek comfort and rest at night. Wonder at the mystery of the dark. Celebrate blackness. Disrupt the binary and welcome God's holy darkness. First grade through fourth grade today is recessing for Children's Chapel, and the fifth grade through high school will remain with their teachers and parents for service today. I have Logan, who's going to stay in the service, but he's going to help me with the lighting the children's chalice. Would you come on up, Logan?
Please join me in saying, we pass this flame of religious freedom from generation to generation. Thank you for the pretty music. The reading today is an excerpt from Catherine May's book, Wintering, The Power of Rest and Retreat in Difficult Times. Everybody winters at one time or another. Some winter over and over again. Wintering is a season in the cold. It is a fallow period in life when you're cut off from the world, feeling rejected, sidelined, blocked from progress, or cast into the role of an outsider. Perhaps it results from an illness or a life event, such as a bereavement or the birth of a child. Perhaps it comes from a humiliation or failure. Perhaps you're in a period of transition and have temporarily fallen between two worlds. Some wintering creep upon us more slowly, accompanying the protracted death of a relationship, the gradual ratcheting up of caring responsibilities as our parents age, the drip, drip, drip of lost confidence. Some are appallingly sudden, like discovering one day that your skills are considered obsolete, the company you worked for has gone bankrupt, or your partner is in love with someone new. However it arrives, wintering is usually involuntary, lonely, and deeply painful. Yet, it is also inevitable. We like to imagine that it's possible for life to be one eternal summer, that we have uniquely failed to achieve that for ourselves. We dream of an equatorial habitat, forever close to the sun, an endless, unvarying high season. But life's not like that. Emotionally, we're prone to stifling summers and low, dark winters, to sudden drops in temperature, to light and shade. Even if by some extraordinary stroke of self-control and good luck, we were able to keep control of our own health and happiness for an entire lifetime, we still couldn't avoid the winter. Our parents would age and die. Our friends would undertake minor acts of betrayal. The machinations of the world would eventually weigh against us. Somewhere along the line, we would screw up. Winter would quietly roll in. Here ends the reading.
The first song that we sang today, some of us sang today, some of us learned today, is called How Sweet the Darkness, which has an older sibling in our gray hymnal, number 165, called When Windows That Are Black and Cold. The two songs have the same lyrics, but they're set to different tunes. The lyrics are from a poem by Rachel Bates, who was an Englishwoman who lived through both world wars. Bates's poetry, turned into lyrics, refers to the Blitz, a shuddering chapter of wartime when blackout conditions were so strict that a flickering candle could attract an aerial bombing. This World War II practice of blackout was government-imposed darkness in hopes of preventing crews of enemy aircraft from being able to identify targets by sight. In Bates's United Kingdom, lights were not allowed after dark for almost 6 years. Street lights were painted with black paint or smashed, windows were covered with curtains or cardboard, and cars drove without headlights at night. Local regulations read, any persons striking matches, using hand or flash lamps, torches, or automatic lighters is liable to be arrested. Understanding the time in which Rachel Bates wrote, you can feel the transportive nature of her words to an unsettling and grief-filled time. And yet, you can also feel her holding on to hope for better days. The lyrics read, when windows that are black and cold are lit anew with fires of gold, when dusk in quiet shall descend and darkness come once more a friend. Her lyrics posit that deeply frightening, deeply unstable time against the inherent, natural, and nourishing darkness, that of gentle moon and stars. She writes from the darkness, a time of fear and unsafety, but she sings for a future of innocent clouds and rain, of peaceful skies, of harmless air, when darkness can once more be a friend. The song that we sang today is a recomposition of that original song, written by Jason Shelton, who kept Rachel Bates's original lyrics, but wrote a new, more mournful tune. Jason read the original lyrics just after the September 11th attacks, and he found new relevance to the poetry. Following these attacks, us Americans, we weren't blacking our windows for fear of aerial bombs dropping, but we did feel terror from the skies. We were apprehensive when passenger jets started flying again, unsure that there wouldn't be more attacks. And if you open your teal hymnal and you look at the bottom of the page, you see the name Morrow. Jason attributed this new old hymn to his friend Dorothy Morrow, who died in the World Trade Center that day. And when the sky is swept of wars and keeps but gentle moon and stars, that peaceful sky, that harmless air, how sweet the darkness there. Darkness can be so frightening. It can intensify our feelings of being alone or unsafe. From an evolutionary lens, nighttime anxiety can be attributed to a heightened sense of awareness that helped keep our ancestors alive despite predators that hunted them at night. Our impeded senses in the dark make us more vulnerable, and countless stories tell us that night is when the monsters come out. World War II British blackout regulations became the most unpopular aspect of the war for civilians, bypassing even rationing. Nevertheless, here we are. And to adapt the famous words by Alfred Lord Tennyson, the year has died. Our days have grown shorter, our nights have grown longer, and our Houston version of the cold has arrived. As the last year slipped away, we tended our ancestors, we gathered our harvest, we gave our thanks, and finally we reached that liminal space where there's nothing more to do and really no more time to do it. And then the year was gone. In the pagan tradition, we are in the period between Samhain, which is the time near Halloween when we remember and commune with our dead, and Imbolc, which is the start of spring and the return of lambing season. And this is referred to as the dark half of the year. These are the times for turning inward, for slowing down, for seeking the renewal that is pushed to the wayside in times of solar-powered productivity. This is the time of darkness. The poet James Pearson says, "Now for a while, the dark stays dark. The long nights will be long, no matter how you pray for light. This God will not be rushed, but she will offer you the thick black folds of her cloak, where you're finally free to lose everything that can no longer be kept." We expend tremendous effort to avoid or quicken or to mitigate times of darkness. Alarm clocks that imitate the sunrise to combat dark mornings and light therapy lamps that mimic summer sun are helpful in maintaining emotional homeostasis. And calling on the beautiful story and imagery in the children's book, God's Holy Darkness, I can't neglect speaking clearly the impacts that anti-darkness and anti-blackness have in perpetuating deep, systematic, life-denying racism in our society. Our relationship with the dark is complicated. And really, what are we avoiding when we turn away from it? Catherine May, in her book on wintering, reminds us that winter is not only a season of the year, but an emotional season of life. These times of feeling, as she says, cut off from the world are unavoidable, lonely, and not subject to our schedules. If you've ever tried to rush through heartbreak, to schedule grief, to quicken the shedding of old skin and the growing of new, you know that these are acts of futility. Sometimes the most challenging thing is simply relinquishing control of when it happens, how long it takes, and what it looks like. We can control our own personal winters about as effectively as we can control the sun that sets earlier or the arrival of unpleasant weather, which is to say, not at all. We merely equip ourselves with the gear and strategies to endure it and trust that this, like everything, will give way to something different eventually. Perhaps better, perhaps worse, but certainly different. No season lasts forever. But these times of feeling rejected or sidelined, blocked from progress or cast into the role of an outsider, these times of feeling disconnected from the warm, pulsing heartbeat of the world, these times are invitations into the soul. The saying, "dark night of the soul," originates from the writings of the 16th century Spanish mystic and Catholic poet, St. John of the Cross. In his poem called Noche Oscura, or Dark Night, he narrates the journey of the soul to the mystical union with God. And this, he says, is a multi-step process that requires one to purge most of their sensory and spiritual attachments. Though these days the phrase dark night of the soul is often used to describe a difficult time in life, the dark night originally represented the fact that both the path toward God and God itself was unknowable. It wasn't the inherent difficulty of the experience that made it dark. It was the unpredictability of it. Choosing to step forward despite not knowing and embodying all the vulnerability required. In alchemy and Jungian psychology, the term nigredo is used to describe the breaking down or decomposing into parts. It is also considered the true, messy, and painful beginning of the work to change. Francis Weller is a psychotherapist who does much thinking and writing about matters of the soul. He has applied this idea of the nigredo to this collective moment in time, suggesting we are all enduring a collective winter. We have entered the nigredo, he writes. It is a descent into darkness. It's in that place of not knowing where many of these old structures that we know are aged have to collapse. And then we're left with this feeling of, well, who are we now? How do we not just fill ourselves back up with the next thing, but how do we listen more carefully to what's ready to come in? What does the soul want? Francis calls this the season of the long dark. We turn away from the invitation into soul work for the same reason that we avoid the frigidity of winter weather. It demands fortitude and resilience and patience that's not required when things are warm and easy, when we're supported and witnessed by others. But in regular cadence, whether it happens when the weather turns cold or not, we are pulled into the dark. We are drawn to the depths, into our own winter. And this is where the soul lives. And listening to the soul requires that we retreat from this waking, productive pulse of the world and drop down out of sight, away from the company of others and the ticking of the clock, and onto the path of darkness. These seasons of winter in our lives will have us believing that we are alone and misunderstood, that this chapter of being internal separates us from the living and verdant world. But really, enduring these seasons of darkness is one of the most alive things that we do. A seed never buried and only ever exposed to the sun shrivels and never sprouts. a field that is never left fallow, is depleted of nutrients and less fertile over time. A soul that never endures the darkness may never walk the illuminated path. A descent into darkness is required before union with the light. A couple years ago, I took a class called Spiritual Life Writing for Times Such as These. And in that class, I was introduced to the anchorites. These were religious hermits who withdrew from secular society to live in permanent physical enclosures for lives of prayer and contemplation. Anchorites, or as the women were called, anchoresses, were different than other hermits because they were required to take a vow of stability of place, meaning that they were permanently enclosed in cells attached to churches. They were also subject to religious rites of consecration that really closely resembled funeral rites. They were essentially considered dead to the world. Their waking world was forsaken for a life of solitary communion with their understanding of God. In my studies, I was particularly taken by Julian of Norwich, an anchoress born in the late 14th century. Her writings, now known as the Revelations of Divine Love, are the earliest surviving English language works attributed to a woman, and they remain today seminal texts on Christian mysticism. Julian of Norwich lived most of her life in permanent seclusion in her cell attached to a church, and in her writings, she details how the limitations of her physical space created a limitlessness for her imagination. This was such a moving experience for her that she created and used a brand new word to describe both the enclosure that she lived in and her relationship with God. Becloseness. Becloseness was how she described the experience of being fully entombed or enclosed by something, and therefore, in that limited space, being able to experience a sense of sacredness not otherwise available. It was necessary for her to withdraw and enclose to experience that kind of becloseness that she desired. She recognized, like so many before and since, that the infinite nature of the soul is most liberated when the outside world is muted, less available, less distracting. I think of other soulful people who have alchemized seasons of darkness through creativity and soul work. I think of Frida Kahlo, the early 20th century Mexican artist, who through her art contributed to global conversations on feminism and sexuality, disability and queerness. She painted through her recovery from a horrific bus accident, through infertility, through a very difficult marriage, through many severe ongoing health problems. Frida once said about her art, "My paintings carry with them my message of pain." She metabolized immense suffering through her stories that she told in her paintings, and she found that strength in her art and her Mexican identity and her many relationships. I think of Mary Oliver, whose poetry we often lift up in Unitarian Universalist spaces, and whose words help us to really place ourselves in the interconnected web of all beings. Mary was severely abused by her father as a child and sought nature as a respite. And that experience precipitated Mary becoming one of the most prolific and contemplative poets. In the years before she died, she began speaking more openly about the early traumatic experiences, and she said, "In escaping, I found the whole world. I was saved by the whole world." In her own words, Mary talks about being so strengthened by love and friendship that at 75 years old, she was able to finally, for the first time, tell the story of her pain. And finally, I think of an example from one of our own Unitarian Universalist ancestors. In the 5 years following his ordination, our forefather, Ralph Waldo Emerson, lost his first wife and 2 brothers in rapid succession. The heartache sent him into a crisis of vocation and faith. And some believe that the Emerson that we know, the great American champion of self-reliance and the soul and the spirit, that particular man and who he became can be transformed and tracked back to this period of grief. Posthumously, these are artists and thinkers that we hold in great esteem. Recently, Frida Kahlo's 1940 self-portrait sold for $55 million, shattering the previous record for a painting by a woman. Mary Oliver and Ralph Waldo Emerson are both considered ancestors who contributed to the way that we understand our responsibilities and our belonging to the world and to each other. It's easy to forget that these were people who lived lives full of winters, times of darkness and hardship, who walked yet unlit paths of unpredictability. To strive, to fail, to fall, to report from the depths. Winters have created some of the most striking and critical pieces of art that act as cornerstones of our ability to understand what it means to be human. Amidst these dispatches from the darkness, it's almost as if a message rings through clear as a bell. You are not alone. Others have been here. The light will return. Whether it be by our own hand or the hand of fate, the wheel of life turns, and what was once in the light falls into the shadows. The lessons of this time are many, and the gifts are many too. So remember that in the linen closet next to the down comforter that you may or may not need on these Houston nights, and flannel pajamas, is medicine for this long dark. Friendship and imagination, rest, patience, ritual. May you find these to be faithful companions as you navigate times of personal darkness. May you find the holiness of light's opposite. I end today by revisiting Alfred Lord Tennyson once more. That famous phrase of his, "The year is dying," is from a tremendously long poem written in 1833 as a tribute to his dead friend. It's a beautiful reminder that forever our moments of darkness have found us striving toward better days, placing immense faith in the turning of the wheel. These three stanzas are from the same poem. Ring out false pride in place and blood, the civic slander and the spite. Ring in the love of truth and right. Ring in the common love of good. Ring out the old shapes of foul disease. Ring out the narrowing lust of gold. Ring out the 1,000 wars of old. Ring in the 1,000 years of peace. Ring in the valiant life and free, the larger heart, the kindlier hand. Ring out the darkness of the land. Ring in the love that is to be. So in this new year, may you engage intimately with the dark when it comes, remembering the temporary nature of all things. And may the love in our hearts burn brightly until once again the light returns. May it be so.
As we begin this new year, we have the opportunity to shape the kind of world we want to live in. Our shared abundance, whether financial gifts, time, or talent, sustains this community and ripples outward. What we give here supports the work we do together and the values we carry into this world. We invite you to give as generously as you are able, knowing that every contribution matters and is deeply appreciated. The offertory will now be taken. Please join me as we say our blessing. This gift from the abundance of my life blesses me, our ministries, and the world. And now a few announcements. Wednesday night dinners are back. Yay. This Wednesday at 5:45 p.m. in Cockrell Hall. Join us for a relaxed, welcoming meal and warm fellowship. Everyone is invited. After dinner, stay for our Wednesday Vespers service at 6:30 p.m. in the sanctuary, a peaceful midweek gathering with candlelight, readings, and quiet reflection, a chance to pause, breathe, and nourish your spirit. The BAUUC musicians, maybe we should start magicians too. Musicians Meetup meets this Friday, January 9th at 6:30 p.m. in Cockrell Hall. This is a friendly, low-pressure music night where people take turns sharing what they're working on. Details are in the weekly email blast. You all are invited to the opening reception for The Old and the New, an art exhibit featuring work by Peter Bowman and Mary Lou Dars this Saturday, January 10th from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. in Cockrell Hall. The opening includes a dedication by Reverend Katie honoring Peter Bowman's years of curating, followed by remarks from both artists. The exhibit will be on display throughout January 2026.
If you all come, there'll be good refreshments to tide you over today.
Thank you. High school youth and young adults are invited to a movie night and discussion on Saturday, January 10th from 6 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. in the high school room. We'll watch Arrival, followed by dinner and a guided conversation connecting the film's themes, communication, time, and humanity, to our UU values. Also, next Sunday, families are invited to our family potluck lunch at 12:30 p.m. in Cockrell Hall. Bring a dish to share and enjoy good food, conversation, and connection. While children play and are cared for, parents can join relaxed, thoughtful discussions about parenting. This group meets monthly on the second Saturday. If you're new to BAUUC and would like to stay connected, please scan the QR code on the screen to sign up for our weekly email. And now just a few words from Liz to talk about the garage sale. It's that time again.
Good morning. Lillian and I have been talking and trying to get organized for the April garage sale. I do have a request, though, that if you are going to bring stuff over for us to put in the new shed, that it's boxed and hopefully fill the box up because we've got a limited amount of space. Box the stuff up and we can stack it higher and higher and higher. Instead of renting 2 or 3 storage facilities, we can pack it up really good. We're asking that if you have furniture, to hold on to it till the last minute. The furniture we've found out already by error is that it takes up a lot of real estate. So we're not going to be able to store furniture right away. So that's it. You can start bringing your stuff. Just make sure it's all boxed and ready to go. Thank you.
For those of you that are into starting your spring cleaning, now you know how to do it. Thanks. And after the service today, please stay for coffee, tea, and conversation in Cockrell Hall. This is a relaxed time to connect with friends, meet new people, and enjoy community. Everyone is welcome. Oh, and then, wait. Our closing song is number 346, Come Sing a Song With Me, which I know everybody knows really well, so sing it loud.
Dear friends, thank you so much for welcoming me here today. May you step into this new year gently. May you feel the hand of this community on your back as you continue to do the work that is only yours to do. May you remain open to the mystery of what's to come, and may you ring in the new year with the love that is to be. Go in peace and power.
That was good.
It was great. Do you take this with you?
I recycle all these.
Okay, great.
You didn't screw up?
I did.
Oh. Where did you screw up?